Hi, this is Ralpha Rosa. I'm setting up for my my book launch. Let me see if people join. Just waiting to see if people join. Just one moment. In the meantime, please go to Amazon.com and download your version of The Wonder of Sex, a Discoverative View, second edition, to follow along with this live event. Okay, so this is my live book launch. My name is Ralpha Rosa Eustache. I live in North Carolina, and I'm an author. I wrote the book The Wonder of Sex, a Discoverative View, second edition. It's book 2 because I have a series. I have book 1, which is just The Wonder of Sex, a Discoverative View. And the second edition is Sex and Society. Okay, so I chose to write about sex because it's an interesting topic. I wanted to see where that topic would lead me because the book is more research and discovery as I wrote. And so I discovered that it's a real marvel. It brings pleasure to mankind. People don't want to die before they have sex. They want that experience because everyone talks about it. It's pleasureful. It's between a man and a woman, and everyone wants to have that bond, share that special bond, that intimate bond. And it does bring great pleasure. It bonds people in love, and it's very intimate. It is a marvel because it pairs design with function. And so design, the pleasure, the blueprint itself, the pleasure that it brings, combined with function. There are 4 systems that come into play with sex, and that's the reproductive system, the cerebral system, the nervous system, and the vascular system. And they all work in harmony during sex. The vascular system rushes blood to the sexual organs. The brain and the nervous system work together, sending sensory messages one to the other. And so you have the great sensation that is felt. And there's the reproductive system that's working behind the scenes with signals sent to the seminal vesicle, the secretion membranes, and all of that, and the final outcome, an orgasm. So this is something that brings pleasure. There's an outcome. The product is reproduction. That's the whole intention. And with that, the whole earth is populated. And we mentioned bonding. There are stages that lead to sex, or that should come before sex. I wanted to read from my excerpt from my book, and the stages that have to come before sex. And they show that it is not something instinctive. So this is attraction, eye contact, love, getting to know each other. And with attraction, it is so very selective, because you can be in a room of 10 people and be attracted to just one person out of the room, or maybe a handful. And the rest, you have nothing to offer them. There is no chemistry whatsoever. So attraction is very selective. And there's the eye contact that brings two people together, that affirms the attraction and that chemistry. And then love develops. And then getting to know each other, getting to know the deeper person, which could be before love, but still, it takes sitting down, understanding the person, seeing if you have things in common, and then after that, trust, and then intimacy, touch, and so forth, arousal, and so forth. So it shows that there's a design behind it, whereby love is at the forefront of the interaction. And so this calls to mind a healthy sex, which is different than the casual sex that is more and more common today, that is not intimate and that's lost its intimacy. So we see design here. We see that we're not byproducts of evolution because of these stages, and also the reproductive organs that man and woman have suggest that each species, even animals, we want to include those, each species has its own system to reproduce or procreate. And that did not come out of a soup, a Big Bang soup. It was designed. The systems that I mentioned showed a design and a function. And the outcome is not just mechanical. It leads to love and bonding, and it leads to families, people staying together, being attached to each other with love, that string of love and attachment. And so that is the product. So in men, the result of sex is that they actually feel this is where they feel their romance. They come to the woman, and she is their home, his home. And for women, attachment is formed, and that's why the women feel a little needy after sex. So it ties people together with a special ribbon. And that's why healthy sex is important, because you want to be tied to someone with an actual intimate bond, something that is solid. And so, which is different than a mainstream culture in casual sex. So why is that important? We'll talk about it a little later. Let me see if I can find another excerpt from my book. Okay, so we discussed this again. With sex, there's intent to bring pleasure. It creates bonding, and the purpose is reproduction. Of course, men and women decide if the desire is reproduction, if they want to have children, that is at their discretion when they come together and talk about it. I do want to mention something about sex. Very interestingly, sex sets its own criteria, and since it's a design, it is, it's not surprising. It sets its own criteria, and it's moral, emotional, and physical. And the negative implications come without talking, without sermon, without anything. They just come when sex is not used properly. And the result is unwanted pregnancies, broken families through infidelity. And with that, low-income families, juvenile delinquency, early drug addiction, the physical, sexually transmitted diseases, and the moral implication, of course, is, as we mentioned, that unwanted pregnancies, broken families. And so no one has to sermon. These are the outcomes. Surprisingly, we know a list of sexually transmitted diseases, and since the beginning of time, these have existed. So it's not surprising when sex is not used properly, everyone knows that an STD can be contracted. So these are the implications that are, without word, come into play. So it's very important to add value to your sex. And there are institutions such as marriage. Marriage is one institution where it is a safe haven, where you have people who've gone through the stages of coming together, man and woman, bonded, and it is the height of commitment between man and woman. And interestingly enough, when two people are married, it doesn't just grant them rights to each other, but it gives their children rights to their parents, which is really interesting because children, through marriage, have the right to live with both parents full time. When that marriage is broken, the children at this point lose their rights as well to live with each parent or one parent full time, and won't live with their parent full time or both parents full time until they die. So marriage grants rights to children as well. So it's important to add value to your sex and take advantage of a lasting, committed love that healthy sex brings when you go through all the right stages, meet that right person, are tied emotionally to the right person, and commit and gain exclusivity to the right person. Let me see if there's anything else. So this design helps us give credit where credit is